Here's the thing. Real Madrid, the richest, most decorated club on the planet, just won an entire season without winning a single trophy. Locker room fights, a manager fired mid-season, the president forced into an emergency election just to keep his job, and now, months later, they've quietly spent over 300 million euros and they haven't bought one single superstar forward to do it. Not another Mbappe, not another Galáctico headline. They bought a left back, a right back, and a defensive midfielder. This is either the most boring rebuild in Real Madrid's history, or it's the scariest thing they've ever done. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why it might be the second one. To understand why this summer matters, you have to understand how bad things actually got. The 25-26 season ended in what people close to the club were calling chaos. Disagreements inside the locker room reportedly turned physical. Fan discontent grew by the week. Manager Xabi Alonso, brought in with huge expectations, didn't even make it to the end of the campaign before he was let go, with club legend Álvaro Arbeloa stepping in on an interim basis. Real Madrid finished the year with no major trophy for the second straight season. For a club that treats anything less than the Champions League as a disaster, that's not a bad year. That's a full-blown crisis. It got so bad that the president Florentino Perez, the man who has run this club for over 2 decades, had to face a genuine challenge for his job. A rival candidate named Enrique Riquelme forced the presidential election. Perez won, but not comfortably. 65% to 35%. That's the kind of number that tells you the fans weren't just annoyed. They were done watching this version of Real Madrid. So Perez did the one thing guaranteed to either save them or bury him for good. He brought back Jose Mourinho. Before we talk about who's coming in, you need to see who's leaving, because this is where the story actually starts to get interesting. Dani Carvajal, 451 appearances, 4 La Liga titles, and 6 Champions Leagues, made his final appearance for the club and was released at the end of his contract. David Alaba, after 5 seasons in Madrid, also departed on a free transfer. These aren't just squad numbers leaving. These are 2 defenders who represented over a decade of institutional knowledge walking out the same summer. And that makes what happened next so deliberate. Real Madrid didn't panic buy a replacement. They didn't throw money at the first name available. They built a shopping list and they worked through it with a precision that honestly doesn't sound like the same club that spent last season in chaos. First, the right back spot. Real Madrid activated a release clause to sign Denzel Dumfries away from Inter Milan for around 20 million euros. A 4-year deal that's already threatening the game time of last summer's signing, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Then, the center of defense. Ibrahima Konate, arriving on a free transfer after his Liverpool contract ran out, locked in until 2030. Then, after publicly denying any interest in a completely different winger for weeks, they turned around and confirmed the free transfer arrival of Bernardo Silva from Manchester City on a deal running through 2028. But it's the 4th signing that tells you everything about how this rebuild was actually planned. The left back. For years, this was the position nobody at the Bernabeu wanted to talk about, and they went and got Marc Cucurella from Chelsea. Not the flashiest name in world football, but exactly the profile Real Madrid has been missing since Marcelo left the building years ago. 4 positions, 4 signings, and not one panic buy in the bunch. And then, there's the one that actually got complicated. In March of last year, a 19-year-old winger came off the bench for Leganés against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu itself. Nobody outside of Spanish football knew his name, Yan Diomande. 6 months later, he was at RB Leipzig, and by the end of that season, he scored 12 goals and settled 8 more in the Bundesliga, enough to be named the league's rookie of the season. Then came the World Cup. Diomande started every game for Ivory Coast, created 11 chances across 4 matches, and turned himself from a promising kid into one of the most wanted attackers on the planet. PSG moved first. Reports had that this team had reached a verbal agreement with him during the tournament itself. Liverpool were circling too, and while all of that noise was happening in public, Real Madrid were working the story from a completely different angle. While everyone was convinced Madrid's real target was Bayern Munich's Michael Olise, sources close to the deal say that the interest was being deliberately allowed to run as cover, while Madrid quietly moved on Diomande behind the scenes. They came back with improved personal terms, pushed past PSG in the final days of the window, and Paris officially withdrew their interest. Diomande is set to sign a 5-year deal, and the transfer reported north of 130 million euros. A teenager who was an unused reserve at a mid-table Spanish club 2 years ago is about to be one of the most expensive wingers in football history. That's not a headline, that's a statement. So Real Madrid have their right back, their center back, their left back, and now a genuine World Cup breakout winger. On paper, the rebuild already looks finished, except Mourinho isn't done. There's one position left, and it might be the most important one of all. Spain went into this summer's World Cup and beat Argentina in the final, and the player who captained them through every single match, the one who didn't score a single goal or record a single assist across the whole tournament, and still walked away with the golden ball as the best player in the competition, was Manchester City's Rodri. Real Madrid have wanted a midfielder like this since Casemiro, Modric, and Kroos all left within a few years of each other and were never truly replaced. Now, according to multiple reports, Madrid have identified Rodri as the final piece of this entire rebuild. Personal terms have reportedly been agreed, but Manchester City want closer to 80 million euros, and Madrid have capped their offer well below that. Barcelona and PSG have both been credited with interests of their own. Rodri's contract at City doesn't even expire till 2027, which means City don't have to sell him at all if they don't want to. So here's where it stands right now. A generational midfielder, fresh off winning the World Cup and the individual award for being the best player in it, wants to join Real Madrid, and Real Madrid want him back, and the only thing standing in the way is a number on the spreadsheet. Think about what's already sitting in that squad before Rodri even arrives. Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., even with Arsenal reportedly circling as a potential buyer, Jude Bellingham, Federico Valverde, and Thibaut Courtois in goal. Now, add a left back who can actually defend one-on-one, a right back who pushed the record signing for a spot, a ball-playing center back on a free transfer, an experienced creator in Bernardo Silva, and a 19-year-old winger who just outran PSG for a signature after a single Bundesliga season. This isn't the kind of rebuild that makes headlines for star power. There's no unveiling with 50,000 fans in stadium for a left back, but it might be the most complete version of Real Madrid in years, built by a manager who has spent his career finding exactly the right piece for exactly the right gap. A club that couldn't win a single trophy last season just spent an entire summer refusing to make a single mistake. Every position filled with a player who fits the exact profile they were missing. No excess, no vanity signing, just a giant quietly putting itself back together piece by piece while everyone else was still talking about who they didn't sign. The only question left is whether that last piece, the one wearing a World Cup's winner medal right now, ends up walking through the Bernabeu door before the window closes. If he does, this stops being a rebuild. It becomes a warning.